We have 13 weeks of pure excitement, pure learning, pure sharing, doing business together, bonding.
Idea extraction is your bedrock to building a profitable business.
Your business has a value, you have worth, and you need to be able to set your price. No matter how great the product is, it has to be marketed. If you have the cure for cancer tomorrow and you don't market it, no lives will be saved. Think about the challenges that we have and why your product or service is going to fill that.
You are the brand. We have to find our own unique value proposition.
At the end of the day, business is about money. And the big question you're always going to get, who is going to pay for this and how much money is it going to actually produce?
The only thing that you need to do is not give up.
This is going to be an exciting ride, ladies.
In opening tonight, welcome everyone to session 2 of our cohort 3, BBPA's Boss Women Entrepreneurship Training Program. I'm Nadine Spencer, president of the Black Business and Professional Association, an organization that's been around for 38 years, working to address equity and create economic opportunity for Black business professionals and, of course, advancing education with our students. And thank you for joining us on this journey. There was a report written with the Ryerson Diversity Institute called The State of the Women's Economy, based on what we've experienced with COVID. And Black women were on the lowest rung of that. And that's why this program is so relevant. So our partners, which I'm very thankful for, WEC, Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, the Ryerson Diversity Institute, and of course, TJX. We have, I think, our TJX partners on today, just maybe visiting us, and they will be speaking in one of the sessions. But I'm very thankful to our partners for enabling this program to continue. And we want to continue it for at least 3 cohorts per year in the 13 weeks. And because I believe, as you all know, as an entrepreneur myself, in building and growing and supporting women entrepreneurs. And so last week, very inspired by our guest speaker, and I thought I'd open up this week with maybe we could all sing together. Just humor me, okay? We could all sing the Little Light of Mine. So is everybody gonna unmute? So when we tape this, it's all there. This little light of mine, how we're gonna shine. I'll start because I'm not shy to start.
Disclaimer, we are recording. So this
Disclaimer.
can for anyone who wants to run for public office.
Yeah, right. So listen, I'm looking at the muted buttons, and I see many muted buttons still. So are you, Kellis, are you not joining us? Kara, are you not? I see you muted. Jerry, Janelle, I see you muted. I'm calling you out. Alicia,
I'm ready.
Okay, you're ready. All right, so let's go, ladies. Gisela, I can see you. Let's go. Ready? This little light of mine, let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine everywhere where I go. I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go.
Let it shine.
Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Thank you, ladies.
Shine all over.
Thank you. And thanks for being bold and courageous and shine over me, you know, because we can't afraid to let it shine. And you know, I think
ask for herself.
We had the Boss Women, we had the Rise Up Pitch competition last week, and you know, I made a few faux pas, and I say this, it's okay to make faux pas. When you stumble, you will fall, you will get back up, and when you have a group of women who are supporting you and championing you, you can do it together. We can do it together. We can do it together. So I thank you for being here. So we'll advance to the next slide, Uju. let Uju do her screen share. And so I think yeah, and then to the next slide. Welcome everyone to the next slide. So yeah. So we are on week 2, as I said. So Abraham Lincoln says, you know, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. And I remembered when I first heard this, I thought it made sense. But now more than ever, I know that it makes sense, because if you're always, you know, rushing around, trying to sort of put out the fire and not strategically planning your business, you need to take time to sharpen the axe, because when you sharpen the axe, metaphorically speaking, you're able to get through it faster. And when you have a roadmap and a strategy, you're able to navigate the path better. And you know, when we start businesses, we just jump in. We make something great, and we just think we're gonna do that. But sometimes we need to pull back and take the time to do our strategy. And so I'd like us to think about that as we're building, you know, a competitive business plan. To think about taking that moment to step back and look at the plan, sharpen your axe initially, so you can do the best when you're ready to cut down those trees. We had 300 women that participated in the Rise Up Pitch competition. And over the 2 days of the workshop, I'm going to see if I can get the workshop. I know many of you were online for the workshops, and I'm going to see if I can get the resources. Okay, Uju, and send it to you so we can send it to the participants, because it was just pure gem. All the things that were shared in terms of the financial plan, the business plan. I did a personal branding workshop. How many, so just put up your hand, how many of you were in that personal branding workshop that I had done? And then all the other ones that was part of it as well. We had our partner Loblaw company participate in that as well. And just a wealth of resource and information that was in that session. And so this is what we're here to do. We're here to build you. We're here to essentially, you know, have you rise up in your respective businesses, in your respective areas. And this group is here as a support, as a champion, as an ally, because success, it leaves clues. And one of the clues that I recognize that success leaves is that spirit of allyship and the support that we get from each other. So one major thing happened last week. You know, on Wednesday, we had a new government in the United States, but more than that, we have a vice president in the United States that is remarkable. And, you know, they say you can't be what you cannot see, but now we can see. We see the potential, we see the possibilities. And so, Uju, I'm just going to open my screen because I want to share one bit from last week's inauguration, which very much inspired me. Yes, please. And I'll just pull up mine because I had something here open. So I'll share. I hope I can do this as well as I think I'd like to do it. Can you see my full screen, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm just playing you a little bit of the part from the inauguration, just a little bit. So if you can hear, oh, I don't know if I got the volume into the screen sharing. Let me try that again. Hey, Brooke's here. Hey, Brooke, how are you? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you. Hold on. Okay, Brooke, I'm gonna get back to you in a second. Okay, you all can see my screen fully. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen fully. I'm not playing the entire piece because it's 5 minutes long. I'm just playing the end of this.
And beautiful will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
There's always light if we're brave enough to see it and brave enough to be it. And, you know, when she opened up with this little light of mine and I heard this, we can be a beacon of light for each other. We have to be a beacon of light for each other. And so the other clip I want to share with you from my very good friend, Oprah.
people don't always like you, and they're not always happy for you. And if you surround yourself with people who are not accustomed to your success, they become fearful, they become scared, because you are reflecting back something to them that they don't recognize. People who want the best for you want you to be your best. So my greatest advice to you is to surround yourself with people who are going to fill your cup until your cup runneth over. People don't always like you.
So ladies, that's who we are. We have to be here for one another, to champion, support, and build one another till our cup runneth over. That's the tribe we're building, that support system we're building. Because as I mentioned to you, one of the biggest changes in my life and my business was when a woman by the name of Ella Landegger, she was a junior league member. She took me by the hand essentially, and she said, Nadine, this is the path, and I'm gonna walk you through, and together I'm gonna show you the way. That's who we have to be for each other, is to show each other the way. And I wanna thank you for being a part of this journey. And I'm here, as I said last week, and as we continue to build, to be here for one another. So we have someone on tonight. Brooke, I'm calling you. I know you're visiting, and we have to have you on. So this woman, Brooke, can I spotlight anybody? Yes, I'm gonna spotlight her right here. Here she is. Everyone, this is Brooke from BDC, Business Development Bank Corporation, Canada. And she led a very impressive workshop. And Brooke, we have to have you on at one session, please. So I'd like you to introduce, I know I'm putting you on the spot because this is my intro, but I would like you to introduce yourself and tell the women what you do and what you did at the workshop.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. So hello, everyone. My name is Brooke Gordon, and I am the Senior Advisor for Women Entrepreneurs at the Business Development Bank of Canada, the BDC. My role is a unique one there. I'm not an account manager. My role, I don't know, I kind of akin it to being a resource librarian. I'm literally there to connect women to people and programs to help them grow and scale your business. So I very much would love to connect with any and all of you. I'll leave my contact information in the chat, and to find out more about your action plan and what you're going to be taking forward, and see how I can help you move that into implementation. My background is in engineering and consulting, so I'm a recent banker, shall we say, but my absolute passion is really helping women understand the importance of knowing their numbers, and also how to leverage the savings and the effort that you've already put in to do more with what you have. And so in our conversation on Friday, I was there to support the women in the Rise Up program to talk about a little bit more about finances, a little bit more about what it actually means to leverage, what the difference is between debt and equity, all these little terms and things to really help you have a strong conversation with your banker in a way that's going to get you to where you need to be.
It's a beautiful thing that she's going to be here next week. And next week, we're talking about finance. So you all do not want to miss it. So Brooke, I'm super excited in anticipation for next week. You have no idea. So
thank you.
Excited.
Thank you so much for the invite to pop in and say hello to everyone today and see a little bit more about it. I unfortunately won't be able to stay for the whole event because I'm actually speaking later this evening at another event at an incubator for food. So super excited to be here though, and I'll be just in listening mode, and then so I'll pop off. I'll say goodbye before I pop off, and I'll leave my contact info in the chat. And I'm super excited to be here next week.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brooke, and we look forward to seeing you next week as well. Uju, can you just put on this slide 5? Let me just walk through a little bit about on slide 5.
Okay.
I think it's slide, slide. Oh, you've got it as slide 6, but that's all good. Yeah. So, so today we're talking about the business plan. The business plan is the best roadmap, one of the best. I think the two most important tools that we can have for our business is the business plan and the financial statement. I'm not sure, and of course the marketing plan, and the marketing plan is a part of the business plan. But I see the marketing plan as a standalone sometimes, because as I say, without the marketing, if you have the cure for cancer and it's not marketed, no lives will be saved, because the marketing is such a critical point of our business. I've seen people with incredible products, incredible services, but nobody knows about it, you know? And if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it make a sound, does it make a sound? It does not. So, you know, marketing is very critical, and it has to be a key part of your business plan, because it is the roadmap. You use it to monitor your progress, to hold yourself accountable, and of course, to use it as recruitment tools for sales, for employees, and all of those things that are what I call the foundations of business. That is very, very necessary. So if you move on to slide 8, Uju, iron sharpens iron, you know, and as I mentioned, you know, the theme, as you can see, is, you know, supporting yourself with the tools and people that will bring out the best in you and your business. And, you know, people do business with who they know, and relationships is a big part of that. And, you know, as we look to sharpen each other with iron sharpening iron, we also want to get the tools. You know, what I've been taught is to have the tools and have the foundations ready. There's no such thing as luck, it's preparation meets opportunity. And now we have the opportunity now to prepare. Today we have an amazing speaker. Uju, if you could advance the slide. Uju and I work together in many different areas and capacity, and I call Uju a mini me. Uju, when you tell them, if you ever get to tell them about the woman that you work with, Nadine Spencer, hold nothing back, tell the truth, okay? I'm demanding, I ask a lot, I ask for the moon, and I ask for a lot. But you know, Uju, I call her a mini me, because she gets it. I can leave Uju to run an event or execute something, and I don't have to show. She just gets it. And she's an absolute brilliant team member. One of the things that is when I was interviewing, Uju was referred to me from Velma, which if you heard the last networking session and the last time, Uju was introduced to me by Velma Morgan. And when I met her, one of the things, even before I interviewed her, one of the reasons why I actually brought her to the table, you know, separate from her, you know, exquisite resume and her MBA and all of those wonderful things, was this photo. I saw this photo and I thought, oh, she gets it. She totally gets what she needs to put forward as her brand. Uju, this was the photo that why you got the interview. Yeah. Just so you know. So Uju is she's a mechanical engineer turned marketing strategist and consultant. She started her career as a junior engineer at Marine Engineering and Consultancy Company, where she worked with naval architects and consultants. She decided to switch careers after a few years to marketing and communication in pursuit of her passion for using stories and data to help brands create better customer experiences for their target audience. She's worked as a business development manager and marketing strategist for a marketing and advertising agency in Nigeria. She currently works as a marketing and strategy manager at TD Bank and doubles as a special projects lead at the BBPA. Her expertise span from creating business design frameworks, data-driven business strategies to market research, product design, and project management. In addition, Uju loves to write. She is currently writing her first children's book to be published in late 2021. When she's not working, she loves to dance, take photos, and laugh. And she does have the most robust, brilliant laugh and smile. Uju holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineer and an MBA from the University of Toronto, Canada. I'm very proud and pleased to present tonight's speaker, the brilliant, accomplished Uju Nuoho.
Thank you so much, Nadine. I feel like I'm on top of the world now to have had Nadine introduce me. Do you know what that is, you guys? I'm so glad that this is being recorded, because I'm going to slice this part and just frame it. So, thanks for having me. You see me every week anyway. So, but today you're going to see me in the capacity of, you know, just talking to you about the steps to creating a business plan. So I'm just going to exit this screen now and share another document. Can we all see? Yes. So basically, Nadine has talked greatly about the importance of a business plan. It almost feels like the foundation to a house. You don't build a house without counting the cost, without knowing how much it cost you, without knowing what your materials would be. I liken business planning to, the foundation of a house. So today we're really going to talk about creating a robust foundation to build your business on. And it doesn't really, because a lot of people say, oh, I've already started my business. Is it too late to create that plan? It's really never too late. So you can start now to create it, or if your business is still in idea phase, you can do the creation of the business plan now. So today on the agenda, we're going to really talk about the objective of this. We're talking about what the company is, because this presentation is, I'm presenting in such a way that when you get the document, you can literally convert it into your own business plan. So this agenda would be something that you can follow when you're creating your own business plan. So defining who your target audience is, defining what your product and service is, defining what the industry that you're going to be sitting in, what it looks like, what the trends are, the competitive analysis, doing a SWOT analysis, doing a perception mapping for your competitors, as well as yourself, understanding the different P's of marketing and advertising, and then the main thing, which is really the funding, investment, and projections. And then we're going to do a practical session where I'm going to handpick someone and we're going to go through the business template together. So if you want to do it with me, you can just send me a text or a private chat and volunteer, and we can do a business plan template together very quickly, right on this call so other people can see. But if I don't get any volunteer, I'm just going to handpick someone. And I think it's going to, we call it cold calling. When I was in school, my professor would just point at you and say, answer this question. So y'all be ready, because I can just pick out someone and we'll do this together. Right. Now, the objective of this plan really is to really understand what your strategy should be in terms of creating your business plan. So I have two screens, so I'm looking at different places. Just give me a second. Right. So your business plan really is a document that sets out in detail exactly what your business or your company is about. All right, what you set out to achieve, what your vision is, and how you intend to achieve that vision. Okay, so it helps to clarify your strategy, identify potential roadblock, and also decide what you need in terms of like the resources, capital, and all of that before you start your business. Now, we already talked about me, so I'm not going to go through that. We're just going to move on. Now, when it comes to business plan, you want to be very specific about who you are, as well as what your company is, right? Are you delivering a solution? Are you delivering a product? Are you delivering a service, right? What exactly is it? And the most viable companies are the ones who are solving a problem, because then it leaves a memorable, it leaves memories in the minds of your customers. Like when I think of Coca-Cola, I just think about how happy everyone who takes Coca-Cola is, because it just makes everyone who tastes it feel so refreshed. And then if you watch the ads, you see that the term that is always preeminent in all of the ads and all of your marketing and all of your positioning is just creating happiness. And that's really what Coca-Cola is about. So when you want to think about your company, what are you trying to convey? What are your values, your mission, and what solution are you trying to, deliver to any existing problem that you probably see in your community or in the wider community around you? And then who are your target audience? Usually I like to go deeper and create a persona for your target customer. Now, this is one person called Remy Marsh. And we imagine that he's a government professional. He's been in service for like 15 years. He oversees procurement departments and engages in vendors. Say my business is targeting like government parastatals, for instance. Then you want to define your customer to be someone like Remy Marsh. You want to say, okay, the person who I really want to engage with my company or engage with my service or engage with my product looks like this person. Or say Everett Cantu, who's a single mother, she's an entrepreneur, she has a kid, she runs her own small business, but she's sometimes struggling with getting like the right team. Imagine that my company is a HR company, for instance. This would be someone who I will be targeting my service to, someone like this. Or say we're thinking of Drew Holloway, for instance, who is a chief operating officer at a multinational or financial institution. He earns well, he's a loving father, he has 2 kids. So money is really not his problem. So when you say I have a company and I'm selling candles and I want to price my candles at $100, but then I know that my target customer is someone like Drew, who's not price sensitive, who has a robust wallet every month, and who really cares about the well-being of himself, his family. So I know that my candles will really target someone like this. So the idea for really understanding or really creating this customer persona is so that you are clear on who you're targeting. Because a lot of people, when it comes to selling products or service, really they want to give everyone, they want their product or their service to be in the hand of everyone. And sometimes that is good. Sometimes it could be a little confusing for you as a business owner. So this stage is really important for you to really understand who my customer is and how I want to position so I can easily be found by that customer. If you have any question, please stop me at any time, unmute yourself and ask, because I really want this to be as engaging and conversational as possible. And then when it comes to, after you understand who your customers are, and you have clarified what your company is, you really also want to clarify what your products or your service is. So that is where also even marketing comes in this sense, because you really want to define what your product is. You want to be able to use the right tools to describe the product, to describe your service, and to highlight the unique selling point of your product or your service, right? So whatever it is you want to use, whether images or videos, we know how humans are very visual. So you want to be able to leverage every tool that you can to really position and tell the story around your product or your service. Unless we talk about industry outlook and trends, when it comes to, especially when it comes to pitching for funding, this is an important part of your business plan that people want to see, especially investors. So if you're going to be speaking to secondary investors, so when I mean secondary, I mean people that are not your immediate family or not your close friends, like a financial institution or a VC, a venture capitalist, whoever it is that has the money to invest in your firm, in your business or in your company, they want to be able to see and understand that you also understand the industry that you're about to participate in. They want to see that you understand how much of the market you anticipate you will seize with your product, right? So in terms of creating the business plan, you want to do some research on what does the industry look like. In terms of the market outlook, you want to research to understand what is trending in the market, right? Say the food industry right now. One thing that's trending in the industry is everybody needs delivery. Delivery is almost table stakes now in the space of COVID. Everybody wants to be sure that if I order something, it will be delivered. Also, something that's trending in the market is everybody has a digital footprint, for instance, or they're using a particular ingredient in the product. So you really want to understand what the market looks like, what the trend looks like. Also, you want to understand what demand and supply is, all right? Those laws, no matter the year we're in, would always carry weight. So you want to know, what is the demand looking like? What are the trends looking like in terms of demand? And then you want to be able to see, okay, is there something in like the environment that is going to impact consumer behavior or consumer buying patterns, right? So you want to be able to understand that part as well. Then you want to decide, you want to research and understand what the population trend is looking like, depending on the kind of business that you have. Is the population aging? So for instance, if you're selling a product that appeals more to younger people, it wouldn't make sense to be selling it in a community that has more older people, because then it also ties to who your target customer is. Then you'll be selling a miss, right? So you really want to understand, what's the population trend looking like? Are there more births? We have younger people. If you're targeting more Blacks, you would say, okay, what's the population of Blacks in that community? Or if you're targeting more Indigenous people, what's the population of those people in that community? I hope you understand what the points I'm trying to make with this slide. And then, so really, this is a very important part of your business plan that people, especially when you're looking for funding, they really want to see, apart from your finance, and we'll get to that part. Also tied to defining your target audience, I touched on it earlier, you want to research to see, okay, what is the age demographics of your target market? How old do they generally fall in? Are they mostly older? Are they like seniors? Are they baby boomers? Are they Generation Alpha? The Gen Alphas are the ones that are still being born now. They're like the youngest generation. Are they Gen Zs? You want to think about, okay, what's their income like? Are they like low income? Are they mid income? Are they high income? Are you targeting the high net worth individuals or the ultra high net worth individuals? So you really want to define who, when you have created your customer persona, you want to define where they fall into. And then there's also by location. I know some of us have businesses where we want to go abroad as well, want to sell or deliver services abroad. So these are things you also want to define. Is my product and service going to be targeting only people in Ontario? Or is it targeting people in Nova Scotia or in Alberta or even in the US, right? So these are things you want to be clear, very clear on in your business plan. And now this is another thing that I always advise to put into your business plan. Some people do without it, but I think this helps you also further understand what your business is about. So it's called the SWOT analysis. It's an abbreviation for the strengths of your business, or your idea, the weakness, the opportunity, and then the threats. So in terms of weakness, like what possible weakness could exist in your business? Is it a human capital thing? Do you have the right team? And this weakness is supposed to help you see possible loopholes and then plug it, or show that you have plans to plug it. Or in terms of like threats, for instance, technology is always threatening a lot of businesses. And so when you come out and say, okay, this is a threat to my business, and this is how I intend to navigate this threat. So this SWOT analysis really helps you identify and clarify where your business stands in terms of the strength of your business and the sustainability of your business. And next, we talk about competitive analysis. Now, this is super key. When you walk into a room, even without you recognizing, you scan the room, all right? You want to know who else is in the room. You want to know how to, position yourself as you're getting into the room. Same thing with business. When you're coming into a space, because you know that there are other people who have been there before you, you want to really understand, okay, who are my competitors? Who was there before me, or who is there low barrier to entry? Are there a lot of people who are coming in at the same time that I'm coming in? It doesn't mean that it should discourage you from getting into the industry. It just means that you should come in with your eyes open, right? So understanding who the competitors are, you don't necessarily have to list out all your competitors, but you have to understand who, especially like the big players are, like top 3 or top 5, all right? You want to know, what are they doing now? Possibly what have they done before? How have they changed strategies? What's the marketing looking like? Is there opportunity that I can leverage? Who are the direct customers? Through what channels are they selling? Like different questions. And I listed some of them here that you can really ask yourself and in terms of doing the research to understand, where your competitors sit in the spectrum of the entire industry. And going forward, you also want to do something called perception mapping. I like this very much because it also goes a little bit hand in hand with marketing. So this is a little bit self-explanatory, but I'm just going to explain a little further. So what a perception map does is really to show you what your market positioning is compared to your competitors. So if you want to find out, okay, where do I stand in terms of price and quality, and then you what's the word? You draw yourself, or you place yourself in the spectrum compared to your competitors. I'm just going to go ahead and show you an example of a perception map. I hope you can all see my screen properly. Yes. Okay, so the first perception map we see here is one of, this is for cold beverages. Just trying to use my screen here. Say this perception map is to understand, the difference between other brands in terms of how fruity it is or how much energy, people get from it. And so when you think about the way people get brands into this perception map, it's really just understanding and watching and observing how consumers relate with that brand, how you as well relate with your competitors, and then map it, okay? So in terms of fruity, for instance, there's some soft drink. Some people would drink Coca-Cola and say, it's not so fruity, but it is high energy. And then they map it there. And then when you think of your own brand, say you want to release a soft drink as well, you think, okay, I want my brand, I want people to perceive my product as very fruity and also high energy. So you know where you would map your brand on the perception map. Another example is entertainment industry. This map is by choice and high quality. And you see that they have mapped Netflix to be high quality, but not very much wide choice. I don't know who created this map, but if you are going to ask a lot more of the target audience, they'll tell you that Netflix ranks high in terms of wide choice because everybody watches Netflix. In short, Amazon Prime, I would rather put it in mixed quality and then low choice. But then this is a perception map that this particular company worked on. So it depends on how much data you have available and people that you ask. And then that's what would inform how you would map your competitors against yourself or map yourself against your competitors. Another example of a perception map that I put here is for cars. So this one is the map of, just mapping high price against high quality. I don't know if there's anybody here who intends to design a car. Maybe a sec from Claudia. Claudia, we're waiting for your own car design.
I know. I heard cars. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding.
But say you want to sell a car, all right? The market, I wouldn't say the market is saturated, but there are a lot of car brands. These are just a few examples. And then you want to map, okay, the car that I want to release, where do I want it to sit on the perception map compared to my competitors? Now, Mercedes-Benz, for instance, is high on price and it's also high in quality. Do I want my brand to be high on price and high on quality? Or do I want it to be like a BMW that is low on price, but okay on quality? Or do I want it to be like an Audi that's high on quality, but low on, not so high on price? So this kind of just creates a mapping for you. This is more internal than external. It's more for you and also for your, if you're pitching, to get funding from an organization, for instance, this is also very helpful. However, some people do without it. Some people really add it so that they add like some juice to their business plan. I always would advise that you add it as well. And one of my favorite parts of creating the business plan is the marketing and the advertising. Now, a lot of people think that marketing is really fluffy. It's just about telling stories, putting it on social media, or I don't know, running ads, creating engaging graphics. It's all of that, and it's great. But marketing is way deeper than that. There's something we call the 4 Ps of marketing, which is pricing, placement, products, and promotion. First of all, one of the most important things is pricing. I know there are a few times that a few people, I think in the last cohort, asked, how do we price? That's a huge topic on its own, pricing. But then you don't want to price in a vacuum. You want to understand who are my competitors and how are they pricing. And then if you're going to price lower than market value, you also want to understand the risk of pricing lower than market value. There's a general perception that things that are priced lower than market value are of lower quality. So these are the risks that you want to, think about. There's also the pro to pricing below market value. It means that when you price a little lower, you can gather as much market share as you can. But then you have to weigh what you want, compared to the perception map that I showed you earlier. You want to understand, okay, where do I want my brand to sit? That should also inform your pricing. Or if you say, okay, I want to be seen as a gourmet product, and so I want to price it slightly above market value. But what's important is you have to understand what the pricing is in the market. You want to understand how your competitors are pricing and then price yours relative to that. There are also other things that come in place when it comes to pricing, like how much are you spending in terms of producing the product itself or the service? What is the cost? Are there any fixed costs? Are there any variable costs? You want to understand what the costing is. You also want to understand, okay, in terms of marketing, all of this is factored into the pricing of that product. And then you want to say, okay, this is the profit margin that I want to get from this product, and so I don't want to go below it. So there are a lot of things that goes into pricing. It's a huge topic on its own, but know that it's also part of marketing, because pricing is a huge part of marketing. When I go to buy something, if I want to buy a loaf of bread and I see that it's $1 more expensive than the other, I'm not buying it. But then if I want to buy it, I have to have a tangible reason for buying that extra loaf. It means that they either would have promoted themselves as having, I don't know, some special sauce or some special sauce in bread. No, so some special something in the bread, that just makes it more, that makes it deserving of that extra dollar that I have to pay for the bread. So you have to be careful when it comes to pricing and very deliberate when it comes to that, but it's also part of your marketing. Another part of pricing, another part of marketing is placement. Where is your product going to be distributed? Where is it going to be sold? Is it going to be on store shelves, or are you going to sell mostly on e-commerce? So you want to understand, what's the distribution looking like? Where would people find the product? Where will it be placed? And then the next thing is the product itself. I mean, you can market a lot out of a product, but if it's not good quality, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So you really want to highlight the key things about your product or your service. What makes it very unique? What makes it stand out? Why should my sauce be bought instead of the other sauce on the table? So and people use different things to make their products or their service stand out. It could be the graphic or the design or the packaging of your product. I am huge and big on packaging. I don't care what's in the bottle. If the bottle looks really cute, I would buy it. I remember buying tons of perfumes just because the bottle was beautiful, and I didn't like the smell, but I'll just keep it there. And I liked looking at it because the bottle was really nice. And that was a unique selling part of that product. So you really want to be able to know what is unique about my product that I can communicate in such a way that it would help me gather sustainably as much market share as I can. And then lastly, promotion. How will your products and your service be promoted? Because like Nadine said in the beginning, if you have a fantastic product and you don't market it well or you don't promote it well, nobody's going to know, or just very few people are going to know. And so you're doing yourself and your product a disservice. If I was your product or if I was your service, I would be upset that you were not promoting me as well as I deserve to, because I'm that great. All right. So you want to be sure to really promote your service as as good as possible, as deserving as possible, because I know that we all have great products here. We have great services that the world is looking to see and take advantage of. So you want to be able to take advantage of that. So if you're using, I mean, now is the world of digital. So you want to be able to have some digital footprint. You want to be able to promote your product or your service digitally, because that's where predominantly 90% of the world's target customer sits, right? And next is financing.
I have a question.
Now I made this as simple as possible because in the case that you're using this plan for an external purpose, in terms of, when I say external, I mean like pitching for funds, you want to be very clear. I want 1 million and I want it for 5 years, or I want 5 million and I want it for 5 years. Like simple and clear. There's no, beating around the bush. So it's always advisable to state your funding requirement and state your funding timeline.
Uju?
Yes.
Uju, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think someone had a question for you right before you get into the financing. Somebody had said that.
Hold on, let me just go through the chat because, okay. Okay, I can't find a question for some reason. I can't see it. So if whoever asks the question, if you can unmute yourself and just ask, that would be fantastic.
Okay, it was me, Lindsay. My question was in regards to the perception
mapping,
the map, and then you talked about the 5 Ps. Excuse my baby in the back crying. My question was, you talked a lot in regards to products, but what about service? If you wanted to, or you want to have a business and you are in service, how do you go about marketing towards a high quality service if you are fresh in the industry? Do you always have to start at a low price, and then as your experience or as you are in the industry longer, then you can increase your price for your services? Or how exactly do you put out a business, from 0 to 1 years, high quality and market and want it to be high price?
That's a great question. And I did mention, and I always want to keep mentioning that this template works just as well for services. So when you're creating your customer personas, you also do it for service. And that's why I give an example for someone who is offering HR services. And I think it was the lady, let me go back to customer persona, the target audience there, Everest, I defined her as running her small business and struggling with getting the right team. So if I had a service that gave, that helped with HR, for instance, right? This is one of my target audience. Now to answer your question about perception mapping, it's the same thing. Understand who are your competitors in that industry. I'm going to use, for instance, I'm still going to go back to HR consulting just because I know Kadeen is in HR and I just always like using that example, right? Say I have a HR consulting service and then I want to create, I want to do a competitive analysis, for instance, highlight who my competitors are. LinkedIn, for instance, would be one of my competitors, or even another competitor is friends and family, because if I have a business and I want to recruit, there are some friends and family who would say, oh, I have this person, you should recruit her. So they're substitutes. Those competitors are also in the categories of substitutes. But you also want to understand who are the competitors, like list them out, do research, go to data sites like Statista, I believe that's what's called, and understand who your competitors are. Then you want to see, okay, how are they pricing, right? If they're pricing per hour, you probably want to do the same. If they're pricing based on packages, say, I don't know very much about the recruiting industry, but if they're pricing based on for every person you recruit, I get like a 10% of it for salary or something like that. I'm just giving a weird example, but you understand what competitors are doing in terms of pricing, and then okay. And then you decide, how do I position myself relative to them? Because understanding that you're just coming in, and you also want to be able to stand out. You don't want to be seen as you don't want to be swallowed by the competitor. You also want to stand out, and then you also don't want to overprice, so you don't lose out on market share that you could have taken. I always give an example of Uber and what's the other one? Lyft, right? Lyft started, and then when they their pricing was way below, not like way below, but it was below market price. But then that was a strategy because they wanted to amass as big a market share as possible. And when they had gotten to a particular number, then they started gradually increasing it because one, they had built credibility. Two, they already had that market share already, so they could, explore the possibility of increasing price. And then they didn't increase to be above market share, they just increased to be at par with their competitors. So it was a strategy around that. So when it comes to pricing and positioning yourself as you start, it could be a risky thing to go to price way below market value, because if Lyft had gone so way below competitor pricing, some people will think, why would I want to use these guys? Maybe they'll leave me stranded if I want to book a cab with them in the middle of the night. Maybe their drivers are not that careful. There are other things that could play into the perception, of it. So this mapping just really helps you to place and position yourself, both in your mind and also in the mind of the target customers that you're trying to amass, especially in like your first couple of years of launching. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you. No, it really does.
Okay.
I may ask a question as well while we're here.
Of course.
Just going back to the customer persona, I was just wondering, when you are creating that customer persona based on, whoever you think that customer will be, when you start doing your research and understanding sort of that target market piece that you talked about, is it possible for that persona to change, like once you start doing more of your research? And does that impact sort of how you then continue to build your business?
Oh no, it's very possible for it to change. And that's really the purpose of the business planning, because the more you do research and the more you understand the value you're trying to sell to your audience, the more you understand who I really want to sell it to. So really, that's one of the goals of business planning. It's clarity, to help you be clear on it. So even when you have, you think you have defined your customer, you can always like change it as you grow. When you understand that, oh, there's a particular segment of the market that will be more profitable for me, so maybe I want to like, package my product or my service in a way that I'm more positioned and more attractive to that audience. However, you don't want to go like from A to Z. You don't want to go from servicing, kids to all of a sudden servicing seniors, because then that's like two very different, market, especially when you have launched. But when you're like still in the beginning phases, you can move from, say, okay, servicing, say I thought that my audience was going to be, just women of color, or say for instance, my service is confidence building or so for plus sized women. And, for instance, I thought that, oh, my audience is just plus sized women. But then I did more research and more market sizing and more perception mapping. And I realized almost all women need this service of confidence building, and say it's a book that you're selling, you see that all women need it. And then you move from just being siloed in selling to just plus sized women to now selling to women in general, because you see that your value can be cross-pollinated to other parts or other segments of the women population. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
All right. Do we have any other questions? And do we go on to the money?
There's a question in the chat.
Okay. Sorry, because my screen is on full screen, so I can't really see the chat. So if you put a question in the chat, please unmute yourself and ask. Or you
Ujo, I will look at them for you and I'll read them out to you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Is it better to start with a narrow target audience or widen them? Did we do that question yet?
Okay, so it really depends on what the product or the service that you're delivering is. Some people think that it's better to just be niched, but it's really, there's no wrong way. It's kind of similar to the question that was asked before. There's really no wrong way. If you start with a niche and you see that value or that solution can really be cross-pollinated to other markets, then you can expand, especially as you have built credibility in that niche. You can always expand and increase market share as long as there's no threat to your brand. Hope that answered that question.
Yeah, and that's it for the questions in the chat right now. Thank you.
Okay, we have some raised hands. Oh, Lindsay has asked hers. Janelle, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much for the amazing presentation. It was very useful. I have a question about the market outlook. So I'm just in the beginnings of research, and I was wondering if there are different strategies or resources that would help with market outlook, specifically for businesses that provide services.
Okay, so when it comes to doing research, I like research. Google is an amazing resource. Like, it's one of my favorite brands of all time because I feel like they give solutions to almost all small businesses. So in terms of Google Trends, you can understand, okay, what are the trends in the market? And then there's also Statista that is free. There are other places that have data, historical data, and even some futuristic data, but then you have to pay for it. The ones that are free, I know Google Trends, and if Statista is free, you can always go there. Or Stats Canada, Statista, you can always go there and get information there. And then there are some, what I also do in terms of research, I think there's someone with ambience noise. What I also do in terms of research is go on some research bodies and subscribe to their newsletters because it kind of gives insight into trends. For instance, McKinsey Insight, they give amazing insights on trends, especially in 2020 when everything was going haywire. They kept, gathering data and just publishing it. So I would subscribe to their newsletters, and almost, I think, every day or every week, I would get information, so it's also part of research. So you don't just research from one place, you go through it, depending on what your product or your service is, go through Stats Canada, Google Trends. There's also, I think someone from Google is going to come in a couple of weeks as well, just to show us the different tools that we can use to leverage research and also leverage our business. But the two key ones that are free that I would really recommend are Google Trends and Stats Canada.
Thank you.
Awesome. Do we have any other raised hands? I don't think so. Alrighty. Please feel free to interrupt me, unmute yourself, and ask a question if you have any other question. All right, so we're gonna move on to the finance bit. Just as a reminder, I'm going to call on someone to do the practical business plan template. So, especially those who don't have their video on. But anyway, it's fine. I wouldn't be too much of I won't poke nose too much in your business. I'll just ask the basic questions when it comes to creating that plan. Anyway, so back to finance. I mentioned that in terms of, especially when you're designing your business plan for a pitching purpose, for, to go to a bank to pitch for funds, or to go to a pitch competition, to win some money, you want to be very clear how much you're asking for how long. And then you also want to show the progression and how this money would be used, right? You want to ask yourself key question: why do I need this money? When you ask yourself the question, then you can put it on paper, and then you can communicate it to the people who you're asking for funds from, all right? What is the financial need? So why do I need the money? What is your current sales level? Now, this question applies to people who have not yet launched your business, And so they're probably pitching for funds, to add to their initial capital, so that would be where this question would apply. The second question is, how has your business fared for the last, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Again, this question of for businesses that already existed, how has it fared? And don't be shy to say, okay, in the first 3 years, I ran into loss. It's realistic. A lot of entrepreneurs don't even break even until like the third year. All right. So don't be shy to show that in your books or in your business plan, right? Say, okay, we ran at a loss. I mean, Tesla didn't record a full year of profit until like 2020 or 2019. They will either have profit in the first quarter and the second quarter they run at a loss. They only just recorded a first full year of profit, and that's how they got into S&P 500 last year. So if Tesla could go through that, come on, you are allowed to run at a loss as well, as long as you can show. And when you're explaining, you can also explain the reason behind, those losses or the delay in breaking even, right? The key here is being transparent. So you want to show again how it has fared, if it has gained or lost, it gained profit or lost. You want to show all of that. And then you want to show how you plan on investing the money, like be very specific. Are you asking for 5 million so you can get more equipment? Say I'm producing clothes and I want to buy more tailoring stations. Or do I need the money because I want to improve on human capital? So I want to do training for my staff and I want to recruit more people. Or do I need money because, for marketing, I want to digitally transform my business. So I want to create websites. I want to do marketing, increase my marketing assets. And so I need the funds for that. Be very transparent and specific about your financial needs and where the money would be invested, because nobody really knows your business like you. And so if you don't communicate it to people, they won't understand because they're not in your head and they're not in the business with you. So clarity and specificity is the key word here. Last question, what are your financial projections for the next 3 to 5 years? Now, this question also ties to your marketing research in terms of the competitive landscape and the market analysis. All right, so if I'm going through the industry trends and I research and I see that, say in hospitality, for instance, in hospitality, they have been seeing like a 5% growth year on year, every year for the past 5 or 10 years. It's safe to assume that when I get into the business, I would also experience, say, a 4% or 3.5% growth because it's really the same industry, right? So you want to understand that, okay, this is the projection, this is the growth rates that my competitors have seen in the past years. I can use that assumption to say these are my financial projections for the next year, and then you back it up and explain that you're making this assumption based on this research that you've done, right? So you don't want to be unrealistic with your financial projections and say, if I'm earning 50,000 this year, then in the next 2 to 3 years, then I'll be earning 200 or 250,000. That's a tad unrealistic. You also want to be transparent and you want to be realistic, right? You want to, as long as the growth rate is synonymous with what is being seen in your industry, you can apply the same growth rate to your financial projection. But it's important that you put financial projections down in your business plan, because when it comes to investors investing in your money, they also want to see that there will be returns on their investment, not just for them, but also for you. Okay, so you want to let them know that you have thought about that, and also you have that expectations for your business, right? Lastly, your operations plan. Again, depending on the kind of business you're running, if it's service or if it's product based, what does it look like? Do I have to? Am I going to have like a building? Now that we're all locked in, nobody's expecting that. Now that we're all locked in, nobody's expecting that you would have like a brick and mortar store per se, at least until we go back to some semblance of normal. accept your like essential service, for instance, and then you want to put, okay, this is what my operations would look like, or there's a what the equipment that I currently use, or the technology that I leverage, or these are the locations that I'm going to use. And now that we're a lockdown, you know, this is the platform that I'll be using to sell my service. This is the website, you know, all of that stuff. So you want to be clear on what your operations look like. You want to show what the value chain looks like. How am I outsourcing? Am I doing everything in-house? Say if I'm producing a hot sauce, for instance, am I producing in-house, or am I outsourcing to someone else and I'm just like buying the finished product and then like selling again? So depends on what your operation looks like. You want to be clear and you want to show that. Okay, and then I think we're almost done. You also want to show who is on your team. I was watching a show, I think it was one of those Shark Tanks or something, I don't remember, it was a while ago. And someone came and pitched a business. And the business was great, but the one of the sharks, I'm just gonna call them that, or the investor, asked the question about the business owner's team. And he couldn't really explain, and he came across as not having credibility. So it's very important that your team, or how you communicate your team to your whoever you're pitching for funds from, you know, it's important that your team is intact, because I always say that human resource or your team makes or breaks a business. It is very, very important. You know, so for that show that I was watching, when the business owner left the room, and then the group of investors were talking within themselves, and they were like, oh, his business was good, but he doesn't look like he's credible enough to me, you know? So it's important that you as well are credible and your team is credible, right? So you want to have the right team. You want to say you want to go into the fashion business. You have to show credibility in the fact that I know what fashion is about. Even if I can't sew, I can design. Or even if I can't design, I have a group of people in my team that are badass designers. There has to be some level of credibility in you and your team to back up your business plan, right? So your team is very, very important. I cannot overemphasize that enough. Lastly, a lot of people miss this part of their business plan: risk assessment and contingency plan. Because we live in a world where we don't control everything. If 2020 has taught us anything, is the fact that anything can happen, right? So when it comes to creating your business plan, you really want to take the back seat and say, okay, what are the possible risks that could arise? Say technology can all of a sudden change and it could negatively affect my business. Highlight that as a risk. And then also highlight that, okay, if this happens, these are the steps that I would take. This is the contingency plan, all right? Or do you think that there would be a skill shortage in your industry? You know, but it's important that you really take a step back and understand what the possible risks are in your industry that could negatively affect your business. It kind of just shows people that, oh, you're being proactive and you're thinking ahead to say, okay, in the case that any of this happened, I have a plan to mitigate against most of these things, right? Yeah, there's also the question about, are there changes to regulations or policies in your industry? I don't know how many of us were on last week where Alinda was saying something about what happened in Nigeria. I'm Nigerian, and when I was there, it happened. So there's this booming business where by transportation, so instead of using cars, cabs, or streetcars or trains, people get from point A to point B using motorcycles. So we call them Okada, right? So you get on motorcycles and very quickly you skip the traffic. Nobody has time to sit in traffic. You know, you get to where you're going, and people make a lot of money. And so there was a company who created like an like an app, you know, for instead of scheduling like Lyft for bikes, right? So instead of getting cabs on those apps, you just go on and then you get a bike. But then something happened, and then the government just banned bikes all of a sudden, you know. That's a risk that the owners of that company didn't foresee. And so they banned bikes, and no bikes were allowed to run the streets because of security purposes, because I think kidnappings were increased at some point, or there was some security concern, and so government banned bikes, right? And that company went under in the space of literally 2 weeks. Okay, so these are things that could happen. I know that a lot of people can't foresee some of these things sometimes, but it's always good to take time to, look ahead and project and see, okay, where are the loopholes that I can plug before they sink me as a business, right? Those are questions that you as the business owner should be asking. And I think that's it. And then you want to wrap up with, showing how people can contact you. You want to put your number, you want to put your email, you want to put your address, and all of that. So that goes without saying. I think that comes to the end of this practical session of my presentation. And now we're going to go into the practical session. But before we go into the practical session, I just want to take a pause and see if we have any other questions that we want to ask before I just do a
I don't see any in the chat, or I don't see any hands up. So you did such a great presentation, Uju. That was great. I do want to comment on 2 areas. One is the team section. Great comment you made on that. And it's important, as you're building and you're scaling your business, that you have to sort of look at other team members and to represent them in your business plan. Because if you want to scale up, from 10,000 to 100,000 to 200,000, it's not a model that you can do on your own. And so your financiers and supporters is going to want to know who's on the team, who's supporting you, who's helping you run your race, who's helping you with the business. So that's key. And if you remember in the first session, we talked about that book, The E-Myth, and it's called The Entrepreneur's Myth. And it talks about all those pieces we need to pull together as an entrepreneur from get-go. Even without having employees, you need to have the employee plan. So those are elements, and people is an important part of that. And then risk and contingency. Again, another great point. A lot of us, we don't think about the risk and the contingency plan in our business. And as we've seen with COVID, many people had to pivot in the most unique ways. And, we always want, the sun to be shining, but we do have to have a rainy day plan. And so that contingency plan is a part of your business plan as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for adding that. And so I'm just going to give a few seconds to ask if anybody wants to volunteer so we can walk through this business plan template for your business.
And there's one question, Uju, sorry about that. I just saw one question. Okay. If you outsource your team members, would you still include them in your team section?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. It's part of your team. It's part of what makes the operations of your business run. So you put that there as part of your team members, even if you're outsourcing, you just want to be transparent about it and say, okay, we outsource, because that's also what is going to take cost. That's part of your costing, right? When you're outsourcing, you're also going to be paying them. So you want to also be transparent about that. Yeah, definitely put that in. So, drum rolls.
Someone says, Melissa says she'll volunteer.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Melissa. Thank you.
Of course, girl, I need the help, so I might as well.
Let's go.
Good job.
I saw that we took this much time, so we're just going to quickly go through this. And then I really wanted to do this with someone so that when I send this afterwards and when we get this, we remember what this looked like and we can do it for ourselves. So I might not be able to do more than one person today, but then, and that's why I put these prompting questions there so you can ask yourself and then you can fill it by yourself when we go home. But for today, we'll do the practical session with, is it Michelle? Melissa. Awesome. So I'm just gonna escape so that I can literally type while we're talking. Okay.
Oh, awesome.
So now the first question, in terms of actually, I want to start with your value proposition. What's your unique, so think about your business or your service and then tell me what is unique about your business or your service, your product or your service.
So it is a service.
Mhm.
And what is unique is me, first and foremost. But I'm catering to women and birthing people that are having babies right now.
Okay.
So also it's a childbirth education, yoni steaming, birth doula.
Childbirth education.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is unique to you. Have you thought about your competitors? Do they have the same services?
They do have the same services, but we all bring something different. Like I come from a holistic background, so it's holistic in that sense. So to narrow it down, it's holistic. And I'm more or less servicing Black, Indigenous people of color.
Okay.
So that's
So what makes you different? Because you said you come from that background. Do you have like a medical background?
so what I was a teacher prior, so that's where we come in with childbirth education. So
Mhm.
as an educator, I've graduated from school.
Mhm.
I am in the public health field, but not to do with birthing right now.
Okay, I'm just trying to make you to think deeper about what really makes you unique. So what else would make you unique? Is it, some people would say that their unique selling point is for product based, they'll say speed of delivery, or for service, they would say customer experience. Think deeper as well, like what else makes you different, like stand out. Why should I use you instead of the other person who does the same thing?
Because I'm coming from a point of I've experienced a lot of the things that I'm actually providing, the services. So in terms of childbirth education, I do have a child. And at work in my roles, I am an educator, I am a leader. So I have that leadership skill quality, as well as the fertility aspect. I did deal with infertility. I dealt with pregnancy and infant loss as well. So it's experience as well as other people that are around me. So, I'm not just someone that's in it for the money. I'm coming from an experience background. So I can empathize with you in that sense.
You see, if
And
you ask
it's
me,
like I'm the
I would
auntie.
say, what'd you say?
It's like I'm the auntie. I'm that support system, the auntie sister support system that you're looking for. I'm just not somebody else that's just gonna say, well, you know what? I'm not a doctor. I'm not in that role of, okay, this is what you're doing. This is your 3-month appointment. This is what we're doing. I'm the one that's giving you that emotional support. I'm giving you that physical support, the mental support.
You got it. Like Melissa, when you ask me, I think your selling point is the fact that you have been there. You have felt this experience. You have lost a child. You have been part of that infertility journey. That empathy, that is your unique selling point. If you ask anybody why Biden won instead of Trump, why do you think he won?
Why Biden?
Yeah, why Biden won instead of like Trump. A lot of people would say it's because of his empathy. He had lost a son, and he also knew the dangers of the virus. Like he could feel it. He can feel the people who had lost people to the virus. That was one of his most unique selling point, right? Trump didn't have that. Trump did a lot of good things in office, even though he had a terrible character. But because he couldn't communicate what made him stand out compared to his competitor, which was Biden, he lost a lot of market share, and put it that way, in terms of voters. And so for you, I would say your unique selling point is that you feel it, right? You have that empathy, you have been there. So when when you're crafting your story, that should be at the forefront, because people who want to engage you would say, oh, she has been where I'm in. Where I'm from, when we give birth, our mothers come join to help us take care of the children. We call it
40 days.
Yeah, even before I give birth, and then even before the doctor gives birth, and when the mother comes. And the reason why the child can be so trusting to give the mother my child, because I know she's been there before. She's a mother who's trained me, so it's that empathy and the fact that you have been there that is the unique value proposition. I would say hone on that and really like, I just wrote rough words here, but then when you get it, you can see it and then you can like reword it. But I would say that is the unique selling point, right? Now let's move on to key activities. Now, when I say key activities, I'm saying like, what does your company do? But I think you've answered that as well with, you know, birthing women. Okay, but I'm just gonna give you a chance to answer the question again because, I mean, there's power in repetition. So, you know, the more you say it, the more it kind of just solidifies in your head. So I'm gonna ask you again, what does your company do?
What do we do, or who am I servicing? What am I doing?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. So who are you serving? Like, what service are you providing as a company or as a service?
So I am providing birthing services to the teen mom, to the single parent, to the Black Indigenous people, to a family. I'm providing birthing information that is evidence-based, and it's coming from a standpoint of experience. I have that compassion, I have that understanding, that empathy, and I'm here to help them find their inner strength. So for the mothers that feel like they can't do it or they don't have that support, I'm here to be that support for you.
That's amazing. Okay, so just, you know, that question that someone asked about starting niche and then expanding, and you said something about giving your service to single moms and teen moms and birthing education to these women. I would challenge you, you know, to open it up to moms in general, right? Just so that you don't cut out of that market share, because that is, women give birth, like whether single or married, you know, that is the spectrum of it, and you can service all of that. You know, you could say that in terms of the empathy that is your selling point, you could position that to say, okay, this is the group of women that I am closest to in terms of experience or shared experiences, you know. But then in terms of like targeting a bigger audience, I would just say women in general, instead of saying single women, right? So I'm just gonna say in service to birthing, to moms, and then birthing education, right?
Okay, so here's the question that I have for you, because the reason as to why I had specified was with the birthing community and being inclusive of all, I'm very well aware that there are transgendered parents. And that, so I'm just speaking, being very transparent. Yes, I'm servicing all women. However, there are some transgendered males that still have their reproductive system. However, they present and identify as a male, but they have female body parts. So it's not to say it's an issue, but it's not something I'm comfortable with yet. So that is why I kind of narrowed it down and kind of said it like teen moms, single parents, like single. I kind of wanted to identify, but I also, and it's not to exclude them, but it's where my comfort is. I don't know if anyone can help me out with that, or.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's always great to know who you believe you can service the best, you know. So it's okay if you feel like this niche is really where you want to occupy. That's absolutely fine. All right. Because if you have done your research and you believe that market size is you know, just right enough and big enough for you, then that's totally fine.
Okay.
So can I say something here? Can I make a suggestion here?
Of course.
I think it would be so amazing if you do know of an individual or an organization who does indeed service, who would be able to assist them. And then that way you don't show any exclusion in your for your company, but as soon as somebody calls and reaches out to you, you can just come and say, oh, I know somebody who can assist you, and be able to put them right in touch with somebody right away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Claudia. And that is it. So I do have two partners, not partners, but two other doulas that do service those clientele. So that is exactly what I would do. But for me per se, when I'm speaking to them, it's more or less like, this is who I am servicing. But yes, I need to know how I can get that message along that, hey, I can help you.
That's right.
Not just verbal.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for adding that. Okay, and so in terms of partners, I'm moving to this question because you just mentioned partners. And so I'm just going to ask, who are the key people that adds to the success of the delivery of your service? So partners or even other human resources that you work with. So
right. So currently right now I am by myself. However, I'm thinking for future, I would, well, actually I do have like a marketing person right now that's doing my branding and everything. It would also be backup doulas. So as much as we have our own companies, we would partner together. So if I'm not available to be at the birth, then I have a backup doula that would come in and work.
Sorry, what are they called? Sorry, I don't know.
A backup doula, DOULA.
Backup DOULA, okay.
Yeah.
And how many of those do you have?
Just one. Well, I have two, but I would really just use the one.
Okay. And then you talked about somebody else as well, the marketing person.
Yes, marketing, so branding right now. So she's working on the website and all my social media stuff.
Okay. Is there any other person or any other partners that helps with the execution of your service?
Not right now, but in future, yes, I'm hoping I'll be making that, money. So an accountant or someone of that sort.
Okay, let's add them that. Let's, because we're not just talking about what it is now. We're talking about when you picture the successful execution of your business, who are the key partners that are there. So just imagine your futuristic business. Who are the key partners that you see there?
Okay, so other midwives.
Okay.
Definitely doctors. So fertility doctors, to be partnering with them, partnering with psychologists to help with families that have lost infants.
Okay. And then you also mentioned partners in terms of like, if someone reaches out to you that you're not exactly servicing, then you refer them to someone else. So
yes, so that would be the other doula. She provides that service.
Oh, the other doula. Okay.
Yeah, that backup doula.
Okay. So is anybody think hard? Is there anybody else? Well, you know what? This is just a template, so you can take this and then build on it. All right, so it's fine. And then in terms of sustainability, what does your company need to succeed futuristically? So even if it means like the capital or equipment or like a building, like what other resources do you need?
Absolutely. So I would definitely want to have it on like a home front. So as well as the yoni steaming. So I need a location. So I need some sort of funding. So governments, grants, got to give up some money over here.
Capital, sorry.
I would love to have a location. Also equipment. So resources, learning equipment for childbirth education. You do need resources for that.
Other birthing equipments, do we have that?
Yes, so birthing equipment as well.
Okay.
Also, so I will have a wellness kit as well to give to the moms. So for those resources.
Wellness kits. Okay. And then in terms of cost structure, I'm just gonna, because that also answers this question, because the question is, what part of your business would you spend money on? So it's pretty much most of the things you've mentioned here. So I'm just gonna put that here as well.
Yeah.
Like an office.
As well as yoni steam seats. So that and herbs and whatnot.
I'm sorry if I'm spelling it wrongly.
That's okay.
Herbs, equipment. So learning and birthing.
Is that herbs, Nadine, or is it herbs?
Herbs.
They didn't hear me.
It'd be herbs, not, it's herbs. And Yoni would be Yanni.
All right. So how can your customers and you create a relationship? So when you think of customer relationship and creating the customer experience, what does it look like for you?
Oh, it looks like a sisterhood, community, building, like we're building that foundation. So I'm with you from the beginning to the end, to your postpartum. And postpartum is not necessarily that 6 weeks after. Postpartum is years down the line, and maybe you might have another child. So we're building that sisterhood. I'm that auntie, that auntie sister.
So birthing community. Okay, but is it like a one-on-one thing, or is it like a group thing where other mothers can like?
So that is something that I'm incorporating on the website as well. So a community of all mothers that can join in, but also a one-on-one with myself and them, with them and their family.
All right. Okay, that's clear. So what channels would you engage your customers through? Like, how would you reach your customers? How would you engage them? How would you find them?
It's word of mouth, going to the midwife centers.
Okay.
As well as social media engagement, as well as website. Hospitals. Birthing centers.
All right. Okay, so the more you think about it, you know, all the other ones, you can just fill this in. And then I want you to, you see how we created a customer persona in the presentation. I want you to create your ideal customer. What does she look like? Like, craft that in your head.
Sure. My ideal customer is between the age of 20 and 42.
Okay.
Naturally female.
Okay. What is the earning power like? Are they middle income? Are they low income? Are they high income?
So this is where I want the government to come in and fund my low income families. So
Okay,
for low income, I would like to have a fund where, you know, someone that cannot afford it, it's like you have that sliding scale where there's a pot and you can pay for them, for the ones that can't afford it. But also it's going to be working class, middle class.
Okay, so it's targeted low income to low income, middle income, and working class.
Yeah, it'd be all, really.
Yeah. Why would it not be all?
Yeah,
Because
that's all.
yeah, I'm thinking like all women. But can I make a suggestion for under channels? I'm sorry. I thought that under there you might want to add high schools, because you had mentioned about teens as well. So if there's
That's a good point.
Yes.
Let's add that. Like again, this list is not exhaustive just because we have this time. This is something that people take days to feel, because you have to like sit and ruminate and really think about it before you because I mean it takes a while. So schools, right? Okay.
Thank you, Miss Claudia.
And I'm
This is why I wanted to be the guinea pig. So anybody else speak on in.
Your sisterhood starts with BBPA's Boss Women.
Exactly.
It sure does, Queen.
I wanted to challenge you on this, the economic part of this, but then it depends on how you want to position. Again, when you're looking at this, you go back and look at the perception map and see how you want to really be positioned in the market. Usually I find that when people, research shows that when people start in a particular bucket,
Mhm.
of a social income target audience, sometimes moving into a different strata could be a bit of a challenge because of the perception that has already been created. So
Mhm.
if you're going to be targeting, it's easier to target middle income, right, as the forefront, and then say,
Absolutely.
okay, people who cannot afford this, then we have a program with that the government is backing that will fund that. So that's like, I don't want to call it secondary, but it's also part of your service delivery in terms of like customer segment. But then
Mhm.
your key one would be the middle income or working class,
Mhm.
because I imagine this is not cheap, right? And these are people that would be able to afford your service. And because you're a business, you're in this business to make money. You also want to be able to be positioned in such a way that you're attracting as much of the audience as you want to. However, so you could position as, okay, I'm targeting middle income or working class, and then say on your website, for instance, you would also have like a running program that people that you say, okay, it's funded by the government and would be um, kind of accommodate for every person who needs the service. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. To
Uh,
everyone messaging, thank you so much. I appreciate all your words so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just starting to see it now. I'll message after, but I appreciate you all, queens. Thank you.
I
I'm
can't see the
sending you a
comments,
shade.
but yay, I appreciate it
And
as well.
you do. Thank you. Honestly, thank everybody. Thank you so much for typing this up with me and giving me a baseline to work with.
Thank you guys. I know we're a bit over time, but we're just going to quickly finish this just so that we get an idea. Another thing I wanted to ask is in terms of location, where are you, what area are you targeting?
So I'm international because right now the hospitals are closed and it's one birth support person. We are digital. So I am digital. So virtual, I mean. So we are doing remote, as well as if the partner would prefer to have the doula inside, then it's in the hospitals.
Okay.
But hoping I get a location in the near future, then I can work with everybody in an office space.
When you do get a location, where would that be? When
Um,
you go to some semblance of normal, where would your location be?
It would be central. So central within the GTA, somewhere that's easily accessible for people. I know like sometimes Brampton is very far northwest and I'm on like the north cusp. So
Okay.
and a lot of the hospitals, like when you think of the birthing center, we only have one birthing center. It's downtown Toronto by Mount Sinai. So I would have to make sure that I am central.
Okay. So this is just to create a clarity. So
Mhm.
when by God's grace things go back to normal and then you're central, it doesn't also mean that people from another city can travel down to to birth with your uh, um, at your location, right? Because
No.
that happens. And so it's also possible that you can still target your customer, your ideal customer can still be anywhere in Canada. I remember when
Absolutely.
my
It will
mother,
be virtual.
yeah, when my mother was pregnant with my little brother, she traveled from the city I was in to another city to give birth. I'm like, wait, what? So it's very possible that people, do that. So yeah, I just wanted to put that, let it know. I just wanted to put that out there so it doesn't limit when you're going back and really crafting this properly, it doesn't limit where you're placing your ideal customers. They could literally be anywhere, right? And then the last, I think this is the last question. Yes, the last question. Yes, the one everybody wants to answer. How would you make money? What would your business model look like?
Well, I'd make money from the clients.
Yeah,
So with my childbirth education, my childbirth education classes, so they can be done privately, in group, or online, self-paced. So with the self-paced course, it's already pre-recorded and they can go in online and just register and the course will be available to them for a lifetime. So if they have other children, they can always go back to it. Same for the breastfeeding. As a breastfeeding consultant, they can have that knowledge there and they can always go back to it if need be. With the yoni steaming, that's like an in-house service. So you're coming in, you're sitting down and you're steaming.
Yoni steaming packages.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, like you could also do like ebooks.
Yes, I have an ebook that I did already. So yes, that's going to be there.
And then when people literally come to your service to give birth.
Yes, birthing service.
Birthing service. Like there's a ton of ways you can make money in this. You could just keep thinking about it and expanding and just.
And then also the wellness kits as well. So if aside from the one that I give, it'll be a holistic wellness box.
Okay. Let's see. What are the revenue streams that are there? Okay. Anyway, so this is like a good start. I think we've answered all the questions. Of kind of like, this is like a rough skeleton, but just so you have an idea, and it helps you transfer what you have, in your head to paper, and something that you can flesh out. And then when you want to pitch, for instance, to a brand or to a company or to a financial institution, once you flesh this out, and then you add to the other pages of the slide, it gives you something that you can work with. Thank you so much for indulging me and for being our guinea pig. You guys, did you enjoy the exercise?
Yes, I enjoyed it. I hope you can feel this virtual hug I am giving you. Thank you, thank you. I'm sending you Ashe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, everyone, for messaging and saying it's a great idea. I appreciate your words. I appreciate the encouragement. Thank you so much, because it was a little nerve-wracking even going in this direction, but it's because I've experienced all of these things. I wanted to be there and support other people. So thank you. Humbly, thank you.
Kudos.
Thank you. Do you have a website yet?
It is birthstartshere.com. I'll put it in here. It'll be up and running February 5th, but I will log it in here so you guys can all log on and tell all your people that are getting pregnant. Valentine's Day is coming up. Plug
so Melissa, I love it. If I were having babies, I would be sure I would be sure calling you. But as I heard your entire questions and everyone weighing in, I think what would be an interesting target market for you as well is all the professional women who are choosing to have birth without a spouse. They're making that decision. That's an incredibly untapped market. They have the resources and they need the support. So I would definitely make that a niche, and I can see it as clear as day as to where to go for that market, and you would be full. Your cup would be very full with people.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I actually have something to say.
Yes, of course.
Melissa. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually due in June.
Girl.
Prize right there.
Can we all come? Can we all come, Keisha?
Thank you.
Oh, it's Keisha. Okay, I'm like, who's speaking? I can't see.
Yes, please connect already.
Yes.
And then just we're waiting to carry baby and say congratulations as well when the baby comes. So yay! Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Keisha, I'm in the WhatsApp group as well, but you can hit me up over on social media if you want.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Question. Sorry, another question.
Yes.
Would you do home births?
Of course.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm 1000% for the home births right now, especially with COVID. There's so many restrictions for the birthing family, and it can become very stressful. So I'm well aware. I'm 1000% for home birth.
I'm excited. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Melissa, can you please provide your social media?
Yes, I just threw it in there right now. It's Birth Starts Here. It's an empty platform. Everything will be going up on February 5th.
And you don't have any social? That's just your website, correct?
No, yeah, my social media on Instagram is Birth Starts Here. It'll be the same on YouTube because we're going to be having videos as well for the moms to help them through with some exercises and yoga and whatnot. And Facebook as well. So everything, it's Birth Starts Here.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. Honestly, my
Melissa,
heart
I think I'm going to get pregnant tonight. I feel now I want to have another baby.
Melissa, what have you done?
Oh, man.
All right, thank you so
Oh,
much,
man.
Melissa, as well as all the fantastic ladies still on the call. Thank you for really making this as engaging and fun for me as well, and such a fun learning experience for everybody. So I already filled this template, but it's literally your assignment. So when we're sending this out, your assignment is to fill this for your business. And then also the second assignment is to create, sorry, let me just move to that. Is to create a perception map for your products or your service. So really think about the other competitors in your space, and depending on what you want to map it against, you want to map it against price and quality, or you want to map it against accessibility and price, you know, depending, there are different ways to map, and then you put yourself relative to your competitor. So create a perception map for yourself, and then also the first assignment, which is filling out the business plan template for yourself. Do we have any other questions?
Are the assignments sent to our email? Like, how do we receive them? Because I did not get, I think you guys said you were going to send out stuff from the last session, and I didn't receive that.
Oh, who's okay?
It was in the WhatsApp. It was in the WhatsApp chat, and it's the PDF. And then right at the end of the PDF, the assignment was there.
Okay, we're gonna send it again because I did send that PDF.
How do we join the WhatsApp chat?
So I have to leave. Okay, I'm just gonna stop sharing screen now so I can share that link for the WhatsApp. But so yeah, do we have any other questions while I pull out the link for the WhatsApp? No questions?
Nadine, this is selfish, but I was driving when you posted the beautiful picture of Uju. Can you put it up for me so I can see it, please?
And it is a beautiful one. Okay, Uju, I'll share mine.
Great job today, Uju. Excellent.
Thank you. This link, come on.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen, Uju, so I can show your gorgeous photo. This is what got her hired. And then everything else was just a huge bonus, right? Can you see this?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, I should show them the other photos, Uju, from her photo shoot.
Oh, I didn't have that here.
Nice. Very nice.
We'll somehow have to figure out how we can do a Boss Women shoot, Uju, on Zoom. I think that would be the next challenge.
Oh, wow. That is, I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And you know, Nadine, if we all sent in, I don't know if you can put a video, a neat video for us boss women. If we all send in individually to you a part of this little light of mine, and then you guys,
that would be, yes, we could do that. Yes,
together, right? So we'll individually do something.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Send it on, and we'll put the video to it.
Light, the boss women light.
I love it. Send it. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, everyone. If you don't have any other questions, that would be the end of today's session. We can still hang out for a second while I pull out the link to join the WhatsApp group. So if you need the link, you can just stay on, and I'll put the link in a second once my sister.
Yeah, and you know, Uju, to Claudia's suggestion, what we could do for International Women's Day actually is do this little light of mine, and then I could have a compilation, and that could be our International Women's Day Boss Women video, which is going to be International Women's Day is March 8th.
Yeah.
So we have time. So send it. Send your, get your phone and hold it up with your ring light and make it spectacular, make your background all jazzy and fab. And and let's do it. Let's do this little light of mine, and then we'll pull it together.
Yes.
Get your red lipstick on too.
Yes, the red lipstick. Yes.
Okay, I don't know what's going on, but I can't seem to pull out the link. Can anybody pull out the link on that WhatsApp group and then just post it on the group?
I don't know if you can pull it out on the computer though. I think you'd have to pull it out on the phone.
You can pull it out on the computer.
I'll do it, Uju. I don't know if I can. I don't know how I can do it in the chat, but I'll pull a link out and send it. I'll do it.
Okay.
Uju, you wrap up and talk to everybody, and I'll do the boss women. I'll do the.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for hanging out till the end of the program. It's been such a pleasure just facilitating this, and thank you to our guinea pig, Melissa, for really just volunteering and putting herself out there and being vulnerable with her business and her service. It's not an easy thing to do, trust me. I don't know if I would have done the same if the tables were turned. So thank you for for just occupying the space. And I hope that this entire exercise kind of just, was a learning experience for everyone. And I hope when you're going back and you're doing the assignment, it kind of just gives you insight into how to do yours as well. So thank you. And next week, I don't know if everyone was on earlier when we had a guest from BDC just drop in to say hi, Brooke. She's going to be facilitating next week. So and next week, we're going to be talking about really just building a financial projection for your business, like a financial plan and financial projection, which is super important. I know a lot of people from the first Boss Women talked about or asked for someone from BDC to come and talk about that. And we got someone from BDC, y'all. So you guys show up.
Yeah,
right?
got a wealth of info.
So yes, please, just show up. I can see a lot of people already joining via the link. So I think a lot of people have the link already.
Yeah, I couldn't, I'm not the admin anymore, Uju, so you'll have to send the link. So I think I'll send the link, but maybe they found it.
Someone sent the link in the group already.
Okay.
On the chat?
Sharita, I think.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, thank you. Saves me.
Sorry, I have a quick question before we go.
Of course.
I don't know if I missed it. If I did, I'm sorry. Is there a page limit for the business plan?
No, there is not. But like everything else, we always advise to keep it short and simple just because attention span is short, So in terms of page limit, if you're using a slide, we usually advise to keep it under 20 slides. Or if you're using pages, when I'm sending this, I'm also going to send a BDC template for creating business plan as well, in addition to this one. So you can choose whichever one you want to use. But that one is in Word document. But some people like to hear business plan as a PowerPoint presentation. Other people like to have it as a Word document. So you can have both options and then you can pick from it.
Thank you.
All right. So I got the link. I'm just going to put it again, just in case you missed it. All right. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us for the entire duration of
See you next week for the money moves. We should be playing our money move song because we're making
money
moves.
Speaking of making money, I want to just steal 30 seconds. Nettie's hot sauce, she's here. And I have a goal for next month at my work. I'm hoping to sell 8 to 12 vehicles. So I want to order 12 bottles of your hot sauce, and I'm going to give that to every sale. So I'd like to order 12 of your hot sauce.
And it's not just the hot sauce, it's non-joke. Non-joke.
Nettie non-joke. Yeah. Okay. So email, we'll connect individually, and then we'll do the shipping and all of that. Okay.
Okay, my dear. Thank you so much.
One of my favorite things about this group is just the connections, and then people just getting into other people's businesses, and buying this stuff and collaborating. Like, I think that's what I love most.
And I think also we owe Uju, did you choose the 5 women? I think I saw Gisella's photo in the chat for remember they had to send their photos, the first 5, or their bios, professional photos.
I sent you the list of 5.
You did, and so we'll mail out those gift cards.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Great photo, by the way. Great photo.
Thanks.